chosen one. You have arrived here just as the light foresaw. Listen closely. Here is something most people will not tell you. The strongest souls don't announce themselves with words. They announce themselves with presence. And when someone unprepared catches even a glimpse of that kind of spiritual magnitude, it doesn't just make them uncomfortable. It rewires their entire nervous system in ways they cannot explain. Scientists have documented how the human body responds identically to two completely opposite experiences: fear and awe. Same racing heart, same shortness of breath, same rush of adrenaline. But here is the difference. Fear depletes you while awe transforms you. Now picture this. Someone encounters you, a chosen one, and for just a moment they perceive your true spiritual capacity. Not your appearance or credentials, but the raw voltage of your soul. It is like staring directly at the sun. They weren't equipped for that level of exposure. Most people walk through life expecting to meet competence, charm, maybe even brilliance. But genuine spiritual strength exists in a category all its own. It doesn't broadcast itself on social media. It doesn't require validation. It certainly doesn't come with any warning signs. They assumed you were ordinary. They had no idea you carry the kind of internal force that makes insecure people break into a cold sweat without understanding why. You said nothing threatening. You made no aggressive moves. Yet they felt something that made their hidden weaknesses rise to the surface like oil on water. And here is what makes it beautiful. While they are scrambling to understand why your mere presence destabilized them, you are just standing there completely at ease, wondering why they look like they have encountered something otherworldly. The truth is, they have. They just didn't realize what they were seeing was their own fragile identity being exposed by the light of your spirit. Number one, your presence revealed the fragility they have masked for years. When they glimpsed your spiritual strength, something fundamental shifted inside them. This wasn't a gentle awakening. It was an abrupt shattering of illusions they had spent years carefully constructing. They have invested considerable energy building an image of themselves as confident, capable, and unshakable. They have worked hard, maintaining appearances while secretly covering cracks in their foundation. But the moment they stood in your energy field, the truth of their actual condition began seeping through every gap they tried to seal. What intensified their discomfort is that you weren't actively trying to expose them. You weren't analyzing them or setting tests. Your spirit simply operates in truth, and truth naturally dismantles anything constructed on deception. That is what shook them. The slow burning realization that someone has seen past their carefully crafted exterior into the uncertain person beneath it. For someone whose entire self-worth depends on maintaining that exterior, this feels existential. Your strength didn't overpower them. It revealed them. That is infinitely more threatening. When someone is attacked, they can mount a defense. When someone is truly seen, there is nowhere to hide, nothing to fight against, no way to cover it back up without admitting what lies beneath. Their extreme reaction to you wasn't about fighting you, it was about fighting the reflection of themselves you accidentally held up for them. That glimpse was devastating. For you, it is simply how you exist. No pretense, no adjusting your truth to accommodate others' comfort levels. You have done the work. You have endured the kind of trials that strip everything away and rebuild you into something unshakable. That is why your presence carries weight. Not negativity, but substance. They are accustomed to being around people with hollow foundations. You are solid. They walked away from that encounter feeling strangely exhausted, disturbed, perhaps even angry, without clear reasoning. But somewhere deep inside, they understood. You didn't just show them who you are, you showed them who they are not. For some people, that is unbearable. Number 2, they recognized you possess power beyond their manipulation. When they encountered your spiritual magnitude, they immediately realized you have access to something they cannot bend, exploit, or control. They have spent most of their existence in environments where influence means knowing which psychological buttons to push. They understand manipulation mechanics perfectly, how to flatter someone into submission, how to leverage guilt for compliance, how to feed someone's ego just enough to maintain control. It is a game they have mastered, and for a long time it is worked on nearly everyone. But with you, that game ended before it started. They couldn't establish any leverage because the power animating you isn't connected to flattery, approval, or fear. You don't operate in the currencies they trade. Your strength originates from a source that cannot be negotiated with, purchased, or deactivated by external forces. That is the source of their frustration. They found themselves standing before someone who doesn't respond to their usual mechanisms. Not because you are stubborn, but because your internal navigation system doesn't accept external commands. The energy you embody isn't plugged into their system, so they cannot access it. They cannot exploit your insecurities because you have already confronted them. They cannot tempt you with superficial rewards because you are not hungry for what they consider valuable. They cannot intimidate you with threats because you know where your protection originates. And that is what disturbs them most profoundly. You operate from a foundation they cannot even perceive, much less influence. They are used to people either resisting until worn down or capitulating immediately under sufficient pressure. But you don't resist in the manner they expect. You don't meet manipulation with force. You simply don't engage with it at all. It is like throwing a rope to someone who never caught it because they were never standing where you assumed. That moment of recognition stung. If they cannot influence you, they cannot control the narrative surrounding you. And if they cannot control that narrative, they cannot protect the image they have constructed. That represents their ultimate defeat. Number 3, your energy compelled their shadows to surface. Your presence accomplished something words never could. It forced what they have buried to rise into view. They have spent years concealing bitterness, envy, insecurity, and hidden malice beneath layers of charm, courtesy, or false modesty. Around most people, they maintain control over these shadows. But near you, that control dissolved, and the parts they have tried to hide began spilling out. This wasn't because you confronted or accused them. It is simply how your spirit functions. Your energy is pure, and purity exposes impurity. The atmosphere around you refuses to support pretense. Without any conscious effort, you strip away disguises because your spirit will not harmonize with falsehood. When that happens, people feel uncomfortable in ways they cannot articulate. They become defensive, agitated, or excessively critical of you, never realizing that what actually bothers them is the reflection of themselves they are suddenly confronting. Most people can carry their shadows quietly if no one's light is intense enough to disturb them. But your light doesn't gently illuminate, it penetrates corners. And what hides there resists exposure. It fights back. It scrambles to protect the identity constructed around it, because once hidden motives are visible, the carefully maintained image cannot survive. What makes this harder for them is they cannot logically explain their reaction to you. They just know being around you feels destabilizing, so they start projecting, possibly accusing you of superiority or self-righteousness. When reality shows they are simply reacting to what your clarity reveals about their own condition. The demons they have suppressed don't want to be seen. and your light refuses to let them hide. That internal conflict manifests as external hostility toward you, even though you are not the problem. You are just the mirror. Number 4. They felt how small their life becomes next to your purpose. When they stood near you, they experienced something beyond mere intimidation. They felt the weight of destiny on you. Not arrogance or self-importance, but genuine calling. The kind that comes from alignment with something greater than personal ambition. They sensed you are moving toward something significant, and that recognition made their own pursuits feel suddenly trivial. They have spent years convincing themselves their goals matter, their achievements, their status, their carefully accumulated accomplishments. But in your presence, all of that felt strangely hollow. Because what you are building isn't about external validation. It is about fulfilling something eternal. They are chasing temporary satisfaction. You are answering a summons. They are trying to impress people. You are trying to complete an assignment that transcends this lifetime. That comparison wasn't something you forced on them. They felt it instinctively, and it unsettled them because it revealed they have been investing energy into things that ultimately will not matter. While you are building something that will outlast you, they are building things that will crumble the moment they are gone. That realization creates a specific kind of existential anxiety. If you dropped a comment about which part of this resonates with you so far, I would genuinely appreciate it. Your engagement helps more people find this message. Number 5. Your presence dismantled their illusion of power. They have spent considerable time believing they hold influence, authority, or control. Maybe in their career, their relationships, or their social circles. They have grown comfortable with that sense of power. But when they encountered you, something shifted. They realized the power they have been exercising is fundamentally different from what you possess. Theirs is positional, circumstantial, conditional. Yours is intrinsic, unconditional, unshakable. Their power depends on systems, hierarchies, and other people's cooperation. Take those away, and they have nothing. Your power exists independently of external circumstances because it flows from an internal source connected to something infinite. They can lose their position tomorrow and become powerless. You could lose everything externally and remain powerful because what animates you cannot be stripped away by changing circumstances. That recognition was humbling in a way they weren't prepared for. Suddenly, all their maneuvering, all their strategic positioning, all their carefully cultivated influence felt insignificant next to the quiet authority you carry without trying. And here is what really disturbed them. You weren't competing with them. You weren't trying to demonstrate superiority. You simply existed in your truth, and that truth exposed the fragility of everything they had built their identity upon. Number 6. They realized they cannot shape the narrative about you. People who thrive on manipulation understand one fundamental principle: control the story, control the perception. They have mastered the art of crafting narratives that serve their interests, planting seeds of doubt, spreading subtle misinformation, shaping how others perceive situations and people. It has given them significant power in their spheres of influence. But when they tried applying that skill to you, something unexpected happened. The narrative wouldn't stick. They would attempt to paint you in a certain light, but something about your presence contradicted their story so completely that people instinctively knew they weren't getting truth. Your energy carries its own testimony. You don't need to defend yourself or correct false narratives because your spirit speaks louder than their words. This frustrated them immensely. In their world, controlling perception is everything. If they cannot define you, they cannot diminish you. If they cannot diminish you, they cannot eliminate the threat you represent to their constructed reality. So they keep trying, keep talking, keep spinning. But every attempt falls flat because you are not playing their game. You are not even on their chessboard. You are operating in an entirely different dimension where their tactics have no power. Number 7. Your calmness reminded them what they have lost. There is a specific quality to your energy that disturbs certain people. It is your peace. Not the forced serenity of someone suppressing chaos, but the genuine tranquility of someone who has found center. You move through turbulence without being turbulent. You encounter chaos without becoming chaotic. That settled quality in you is magnetic to some and maddening to others. For those who have lost their peace, your calmness feels like an indictment. They are constantly agitated, always strategizing, perpetually anxious about maintaining control. Then you enter their space, completely at rest in yourself, and it highlights everything they have sacrificed in pursuit of things that never delivered what they promised. Your peace isn't passive, it is powerful. It is the result of surrender to something greater than yourself, and that surrender paradoxically gave you strength they cannot comprehend. They look at you and see someone who should be stressed by the same things that stress them, but you are not. Someone who should be anxious about the same things that create their anxiety, but you are not. That difference forces them to question whether what they are chasing is even worth the peace they have lost pursuing it. And that question is one they are not prepared to answer. Number 8. They saw you are not constrained by the fears that bind them. Everyone operates within certain boundaries. Some boundaries are healthy and necessary. Others are invisible prisons constructed from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. These fears become chains that limit movement, restrict authenticity, and control decisions. Most people don't even realize how much fear dictates their choices until they encounter someone operating without those particular constraints. When they observed you, they recognize something unsettling. You are not driven by the fears that govern them. You make decisions they couldn't make because you are not afraid of consequences they are terrified of. You speak truths they couldn't speak because you are not worried about reactions they are desperate to avoid. You pursue paths they couldn't pursue because you are not limited by risks they consider unacceptable. This doesn't mean you are reckless or foolish. It means you have confronted those fears, walked through them, and discovered they weren't as powerful as advertised. You have learned that what is on the other side of fear is freedom. And once someone tastes that freedom, they cannot be controlled by threats of what might happen if they step out of line. Your liberation from their fears makes you unpredictable to them, and unpredictable means uncontrollable. Number 9. Your light exposed that their darkness isn't strength, but delusion. They have spent years reframing their shadow side as power, calling manipulation strategy, calling ruthlessness strength, calling lack of empathy intelligence. They have convinced themselves that operating without moral constraints gives them advantage, that caring less makes them stronger, that being willing to harm others demonstrates dominance. But when your light illuminated their darkness, it revealed something they have been avoiding. What they have been calling strength is actually emptiness. What they have labeled power is actually fear. What they have considered wisdom is actually spiritual poverty. Your presence, which operates from genuine strength, rooted in love, purpose, and divine connection, showed them the difference between authentic power and the hollow imitation they have been wielding. This revelation was intolerable. Their entire identity has been constructed around this inverted value system, Admitting their darkness is weakness would require dismantling everything they have built. So instead, they double down. They attack your light. They call it naivety or weakness or delusion. Anything to avoid confronting the truth that your strength, which comes from a completely different source than theirs, is infinitely more powerful than what they possess. Number 10. They sensed you have protection they cannot penetrate. There is an invisible shield around chosen ones, not physical armor, but spiritual covering. It is the kind of protection that deflects attacks people don't even consciously realize they are launching. Negative energy bounces off. Malicious intentions backfire. Curses return to sender. It is not something you created for yourself. It is grace, divine favor, ancestral blessing, spiritual assignment being protected by forces beyond human capacity. When they came against you, expecting their usual tactics to work, they encountered that barrier. Their words lost power before reaching you. Their schemes unraveled before manifesting. Their weapons couldn't touch you. This baffled and infuriated them because they are used to their attacks landing. But you are surrounded by something they cannot see, cannot understand, and certainly cannot overcome. The more they pushed against you, the more evident it became that you are protected by alliances they cannot fight. Not human alliances, but spiritual ones. Angels, ancestors, divine intervention, universal laws working in your favor. They might not believe in these things, but their inability to harm you despite their best efforts forces them to acknowledge something is shielding you that transcends ordinary explanation. Number 11. Your spirit refuses to negotiate with mediocrity. There is a standard you carry that isn't about superiority, but about alignment. You know what you are called to, and you refuse to settle for less than that calling requires. This makes you selective about what you accept, who you allow close, and what you invest energy into. It is not snobbery, it is stewardship of a sacred assignment. When people accustomed to mediocrity encounter your standards, they feel judged even when you are not judging them. Your commitment to excellence in your spiritual walk, your refusal to compromise on certain principles, your unwillingness to lower yourself to fit in. All of this creates discomfort for those who have made peace with settling. They have convinced themselves that being realistic means accepting less than what is possible. You demonstrate that faith means refusing to settle for less than what is promised. They want you to compromise so they can feel better about their own compromises. They want you to lower your standards so their mediocrity doesn't feel so mediocre by comparison. But your spirit simply will not accommodate that request. You are not being difficult. You are being faithful. And that faithfulness highlights their unfaithfulness in ways they would rather not acknowledge. Number 12. They cannot find rest in your presence because your peace exposes their chaos. You have cultivated an inner stillness that isn't dependent on external circumstances. You can be in the middle of a storm and remain calm at your core. That centered quality creates a powerful, energetic field around you. Some people find it soothing. Others find it deeply unsettling. For those whose lives are characterized by internal chaos, your peace feels convicting. They are constantly restless, always seeking the next thing that might finally satisfy them. Perpetually moving because stopping means facing what they have been running from. Then you appear completely still in yourself, and it forces them to confront their own inability to find that rest. They try to disturb your peace consciously or unconsciously, creating drama, introducing chaos, saying things designed to trigger reaction. They need you to be as unsettled as they are because your calmness makes them acutely aware of their own turbulence. But when their chaos cannot disturb your peace, it only amplifies their frustration. They start accusing you of being cold, disconnected, or superior, when actually they are just reacting to what your stillness reveals about their own restlessness. For you, peace is simply alignment. Living in harmony with your values, trusting your source, knowing your identity. For them, it feels like judgment. Not because you are condemning them, but because the gap between your internal state and theirs is impossible to ignore. Until they address what actually causes their chaos, they will continue feeling uncomfortable every time they step into your atmosphere. Number 13. They perceive the distance between your spirit and their intentions. They approached you thinking they could figure you out, gain leverage, perhaps even redirect your path. Maybe they planned to charm their way in, identify weaknesses, or plant seeds of doubt. But the moment they got close enough to sense your depth, something changed. They realized there is a part of you they will never access. Not through flattery, not through intimidation, not even through prolonged association. You carry a center that is sealed to anyone whose intentions are misaligned, and that recognition hurts more than any confrontation could. People like this thrive on emotional hooks, spiritual entanglements, and subtle infiltration. They know how to make themselves indispensable long enough to gain control, but you are built differently. Your spirit has boundaries that cannot be crossed without alignment. Not because you are guarded from fear, but because you are anchored in a way that refuses entry to anything not meant for you. The distance they feel isn't physical, it is spiritual. You could be in the same room, same conversation, yet to them it feels like you are galaxies away. That gap isn't coldness on your part. It is the reality that your soul is inaccessible to those who come with agendas. They can see you, hear you, interact with you, but they cannot penetrate the essence of who you are. For someone whose entire sense of power comes from spiritual infiltration, that is devastating. What unsettles them most is you don't actively push them away. Your discernment works almost automatically, quietly establishing a line they cannot cross. The more they sense it, the more desperate they become, because they cannot bridge a distance that isn't made of miles, but of purity, purpose, and divine protection. To you, it is simply the natural outcome of living with integrity. To them, it is an impenetrable wall that exposes the limits of their influence. Number 14. They saw your story isn't finished. It is just beginning to threaten them. They thought they were seeing the complete version of you, the end of your growth, the peak of your strength. But what they actually witnessed was just a preview. They caught you mid-rise, still sharpening, still gathering wisdom, still stepping into your full capacity, and that is what truly unsettles them. Because if the version of you they encountered already dismantles their control and disrupts their comfort, what happens when you step into complete power? That thought keeps them restless because it means their time is limited. People who operate through manipulation prefer catching others before they fully understand themselves. They want their targets uncertain, unpolished, searching for validation, because that is when people are easiest to mold. But with you, they miscalculated. You have already been through too much to go backward, and every challenge has only added weight to your presence. They see the early signs of a transformation they cannot stop. Your spiritual awareness has severed the cords they once relied on. The chains of fear, shame, or doubt they hoped to use are breaking one by one. Even now, operating at a fraction of your potential, you have already shaken them. They feel the acceleration in you. The way your words carry more conviction, your silence holds more authority, your movements have more precision. It is the kind of growth that doesn't plateau, it multiplies. And here is the dangerous part for them. Spiritual power doesn't grow quietly. It starts shifting environments, exposing hidden motives, drawing out truth in ways that strip pretenses bare. Every step you take toward your fullness makes it harder for them to exist in the same space without being revealed. They are not just worried about your strength, they are worried about their exposure. If this message is hitting your spirit, hit that like button right now and let me know in the comments which number spoke to you the loudest. These messages reach people who need them most when you engage. So let them watch, let them whisper, let them wrestle with the weight of what they have witnessed. Because what they thought would destroy you has only crowned you. The glimpse they caught was just the beginning. What is coming next isn't just another version of you. It is the full manifestation of a spirit they cannot touch, a destiny they cannot stop, and a rise they will never recover from. Your presence alone has already rewritten their reality. Your becoming will rewrite history. The truth is, they didn't just glimpse your spiritual strength. They stumbled into a reality they weren't equipped to handle. They saw scars that made you stronger, weapons that couldn't wound you, peace that convicted them, and faith that made you fearless. They felt the weight of forces behind you they cannot challenge. They realized your presence alone exposed how small their power actually is. What they experienced wasn't ordinary intimidation. It was spiritual displacement. They were suddenly reminded that the systems they built, the tactics they perfected, and the control they cling to are useless in the face of someone whose strength doesn't come from them. Once that realization settles, there is no going back. They can no longer pretend you are just like everyone else. They cannot rewrite your story to make you smaller. They cannot undo the fact that they have seen what they have seen. The most dangerous thing to them now isn't just who you are. It is who you are becoming. Because if the glimpse alone shook their foundation, the full revelation will shatter it completely. You have crossed a threshold they cannot follow. Your victories are no longer just personal. They are for every prayer spoken over you, every ancestor who stood before you, and every divine assignment yet to be fulfilled through you. The next time they see you, it will not be a glimpse. It will be the full force of a spirit they cannot touch, a purpose they cannot derail, a light they cannot dim, and a rise that will stand as proof that what God protects, man cannot destroy. If this message resonated with your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe so you never miss these truths they don't want you to hear. Share this with someone whose power is waking up, so they remember exactly who they are and why they cannot be stopped. Drop a comment and tell me your story. Your voice matters here. Your presence matters here. Let's build this family of unshakable souls together. You are not alone in this journey, and your strength is about to shake more than a few foundations. Together, we rise toward the light.